Hello and welcome everybody to Hebrew in Harmony in Action. For those of you who were on our first webinar in which we introduced the program, welcome back. And to those of you who are joining us for the first time, we're delighted to have you here. I'd like first to introduce you to my colleague Eliana Light. So Eliana has just joined us on her webcam. Eliana is a musician, an artist, a songwriter, and an educator in New York City. And she's also the author of the Hebrew in Harmony Curriculum Core. So in other words, what Eliana has done is really to conceive the entire program, of course, with Berman House, and the Curriculum Core is what drives it. In our time together today, we are going to discuss the following. First of all, what is Hebrew in Harmony? I'll give a quick overview. Then Eliana will take over and present to you a lesson in action. And I will conclude with how to use the digital companion, how to access it, and so on. We expect to be together for about 35 to 40 minutes. And during that time, please don't hesitate to type your questions into the question panel, and I will address them throughout. In fact, my first question is to you, and I'd love to hear from you. If you could change one thing about your prayer program, what would it be? If you could change one thing about your prayer program, what would it be? So you're going to type, if you don't mind, type your answers into the question panel, and I'll let the others know what you say. So one person says, Stephanie says that she'd like to make it more fun. Go on. I'd love everybody to type in something. Julie would like it to include more music, dancing, art, and computers. Cindy wishes it could involve more movement. Abra would like it to be more engaging and meaningful. Sharon wants it to include more meaning for the children. And Heidi says she'd like it to be more age appropriate. So thank you for those responses. Please do continue to type them in. We can learn a lot from what you say. Phyllis would like less rote learning and more interpretation. I just have to see your first name. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't see your first name. Has said that she'd like to include more movement and games. So thanks so much for those responses. So it leads me to our first part, which is what is Hebrew in Harmony? And what we have sought to do in this curriculum is to address the issues that you have raised here, which is to provide more meaning, to get the kids out of their seats and to engage them with prayer. Hebrew in Harmony is a new Hebrew curriculum in which 4th through 6th graders learn prayer through music. The goals are as follows. First, that the children will develop an intellectual, emotional, and spiritual engagement with prayer. Second, that they will become prayer literate through multiple modalities, and we'll talk more about that. We'll see it when Eliana introduces Hebrew in Harmony in action. And the third goal is that the children will experience the joy of communal prayer. So basically, if I had to boil it down, I would say that the goal of Hebrew in Harmony is to build skills, synagogue skills, while engaging the children deeply in making their own meaning of prayer. What's available? There will be ultimately 22 prayer modules available. 8 of them are already available to you now. They were published about two to 3 weeks ago. You can see what they are in the left-hand column, and coming in early next year, you can see the next 7 modules, and in 1 year later, the last 7. So just take a minute to look at that. So you can see that the last rollout, the third phase, is primarily the Torah service and concluding prayers. which we expect will mostly be used in around 6th or 7th grade. Again, the series covers 4th through 6th grades. It's modular, so you pick and choose the prayers that you want to teach in your curriculum. And let me know any questions as we go, because I just have one or two more things I want to tell you, and then we're going to plunge right into our lesson. There are 3 components within each prayer module. So let's say we're talking about the Baruch Hu, and you've decided that's what you want to use. The 3 components are as follows. First, you've got a 16-page student journal. The student journal is really a means for the child to create their own meaning and put it down on paper. It serves as a record of student progress, and it's ideal to use in a class or group setting over the course of the entire module, which will last approximately for 3 lessons. The second component is the digital companion, and it really works hand in hand with the student journal. They are integrated. Ideally, you'll use them both. So the interesting thing, this is something, it's the first time we've ever done this, and that is to offer the digital and the print pieces entirely separately. Up to now, our blended materials have required that you buy them together. For example, in Kol Yisrael, it comes as one piece. Here, you can order the digital companion alone, you can order the student journal alone, you can order them as a set, you can even buy access to all the digital pieces, and we call that full access to the digital. The digital piece is fully usable on tablets, laptops, computers, in all browsers, so you can use it on all your devices. And you access it in the Online Learning Center, which I will show you just towards the end of our time together. Our third piece, the third component, is the curriculum core, and this is what I held up to you earlier, and this is what Eliana wrote. The curriculum core is everything that the teacher needs to know in order to use Hebrew in Harmony. In fact, everything that you need to know as the education director. So it starts with, it's got techniques for using the arts, of course, how to use why and how to use the music. Techniques for mindfulness practices, ways to use the materials with students with special learning needs, and then, of course, a section for each prayer, demarcated by a tab, as you can see here. I think you can see. And each module consists of 3 fully scripted lessons for the teacher. Now, before I turn it over to Eliana for her lesson in action, let me know if there are any questions. Okay, so while you are typing, we will proceed, and Eliana, if you'd like to take over.
Hi everyone, so good to be here with you today. So what I'm going to be doing is taking you through a lesson in action. We're going to focus on the first lesson of the Brachot module. Now we won't be covering so much content, but going over the form of the lesson and talking about what are the reasons that some of those things are in there. As Terry said, all of the lessons are fully scripted and timed. All of the lessons don't just use music, even though there are 3 musical pieces at least per module, which is very exciting, from some really amazing Jewish artists. They also incorporate other modalities, movement, arts, meditation, and mindfulness, so that we can really get every student an entry point into making meaning for the So the first activity of every lesson is a start activity. We know we have students coming in maybe from being dropped off or from a different activity, and it's hard to start a lesson in earnest until everybody's together. So the START activity allows students to begin working on material for the lesson as they're coming in, and then once everyone's there, you can start with the next activity. The START activity will always come back later in the lesson. It gets students' brains germinating, thinking about the themes that they're going to engage in that lesson. For example, the START activity for brachot, you'd write on the board, turn to page 2 in your journal and complete the Count Your Blessings activity, and then the students will draw on that page in the journal when is the last time that they said a blessing, and that'll get them thinking about blessings in general. So next is an introduction to blessings. As part of that introduction, the curriculum core instructs the teacher to lead the students in choral reading. Now, why choral reading? Choral reading allows students to read without putting any particular student on the spot, especially if you're looking at a Hebrew piece that might be familiar to everyone. It gives people the opportunity to say it together. There is, of course, time for signaling students out, but this is a good way to get everyone's confidence up as a group together. And it also mimics choral singing, which we'll be doing a lot of later in the lesson. It also asks the question, why is it called a blessing formula? Because we're focusing on those 6 words there. And the curriculum core instructs the teacher to use a technique called think, pair, share. In think, pair, share, the student first thinks about their answer, then turns to a partner and discusses it with them, and then shares it with the class. As we know, some classroom discussions can be monopolized by 1 or 2 hand raisers, and this technique of think, pair, share really allows students to take all the time that they need to formulate their answer properly, share it with another student to bounce ideas off of each other, and then share it with the class. So think, pair, share is used in a few places in the curriculum core. Now on to the music. The musical piece is either teaching a way to sing the prayer or is a meaning-making around the idea of the prayer theme itself. And that's what this is. We'll be using the song 100 Blessings by Miss Emily. You can see her beautiful face there. So we'll use the lyric sheet. I have it here. All of the song lyrics are in the curriculum core to be reprinted and handed out so that students can follow along, again, both using the audio and the visual to learn what they should be learning for the song. So Terry is going to play us a snippet of this particular song.
100 blessings every day, in 24 hours, 100 reasons to say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam. We'll say blessings upon waking eyes, open, getting dressed, going to the bathroom, giving me my breath. We'll say blessings, saying thank you for giving us everything we need. Make 100 blessings every day. Bless Matthew Ellie.
All right, awesome. So as you can hear, this song by Miss Emily uses the blessing formula in the chorus. We always encourage students in the curriculum core to follow along with the words in their journal and also try to sing them out loud. By the end of the song, they should be able to sing that Baruch Atah chorus with the music, and we want to encourage as much singing as possible. We also never just listen to a song. We always discuss and debrief. So in this particular song, we'll be discussing what are the things that Ms. Emily says we say a blessing over, what do they have in common? So she says we wake up, we open our eyes, we get dressed. We want students to make the connection that the things we often say blessings for on a daily basis are things that we're so lucky to have that we usually don't think about very much, and we might take them for granted. Blessings help call our attention to them so we can be grateful for them. But by using the song as an entry point and giving them time to discuss, you're allowing the students oftentimes to come up with the answer on their own, which will help it stick with them and be internalized better. And then, of course, at the end of the discussion in the curriculum core, it says how to wrap it up that you're trying to send.
Eliana?
So as we said, in Hebrew
Eliana?
Harmony, we don't just...
Excuse me, I want to interrupt you because we have a question from a participant who is asking,
Oh,
I have a teacher who can't teach the music, what to do. Could you respond to that, please?
yes, absolutely. So Hebrew in Harmony is designed to be used by anyone regardless of musical ability. All of the songs in the curriculum are included in the package, and you will get them as MP3s to press play in your class. So there's no need to play guitar, no need to teach the actual song. We, of course, encourage if you have prayer time, tefillah time, to use these melodies, but within the classroom setting, no need to have any musical ability. Also, if you have the videos also oftentimes have myself or Noah Aronson, the co-host of the videos, teaching the songs. That's another way to learn the music, but the teachers themselves do not need to have any musical ability.
Julie, does that answer your question? Okay, we'll wait for Julie to respond, and we can always come back to it. I see there are a couple of other questions that I'll address at the end when you finish your section. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So as we said, Hebrew in Harmony does not just include music, it includes movement as well, which is something that a lot of you said was a goal for how to enhance your program. It's super important to have movement. A lot of our students are we see them on the weekends or after a long day at school. We want to get their bodies moving, and kinesthetic learning helps them connect to what they are learning and really internalize it. So an activity that we do in Brachot is translating the blessing formula with our bodies, splitting up the class into groups, assigning each student one of the words like Baruch or Atah, and giving the student time to think of a motion or a movement that would translate that word for them. Then in the group, they would say the blessing and do the motion as well. This really allows them to get into the practice of moving and to translate not just with words but with their bodies. And then the next time they say that blessing formula, they might actually do the motion or think about the motion, and that will give them another way to remember what they're saying, especially with something like the blessing formula that our students say a lot. It's important to remember what we're saying. And that's a lesson in action.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Eliana. And after I've shown you briefly how to use the digital companion, Eliana will be back and we can address further questions to her. So the digital companion, I've already said, is really integral to the program. Let me show you how you access it. And for that, I'm going to jump out of my PowerPoint and take you to the Berriman House website. Here I am at the Berriman House homepage, and I'm logged in as an education director. I already have an account set up in the Online Learning Center. For those of you who are already familiar with the OLC, this is sort of old news to you and you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who are not yet in the OLC, we can help you get set up. I want to reassure you of that. So here I am on the Berriman House homepage. I'm going to enter the OLC on the right-hand side of the page. There are multiple ways to get in. I'm entering the OLC, and what will open will be my home page as the education director. And here it is. Here is my picture. Well, not really. This is just a demo school. Here's my name. I'm demarcated on the right here as educational director in the pink. And here in blue all the way down the page are the various classes that I have in my school. So you can see I have created a Hebrew in Harmony 4th grade class. I'm going to enter it now, as would the teacher or the student, by clicking on it. And now I'm inside that 4th grade class. It says Hebrew in Harmony here on the yellow bar, Hebrew in Harmony 4th grade. I access the software, as I do with all Berriman House learning software, through this green button here, the green play button on the left. I'm going to click on it now, and the software will open, and this is what it looks like. On the right-hand side, you can see a musical note with a download icon, and here's where the teacher or the student can download all the music that is part of the module. So for example, here's Brachot, and here's the Emily Tech song, and here are various other pieces of music that we've included in that module. If we were going to Manish Tana, we'd see the renditions we have there. So heading back to the software, To get into the software, I'm going to click on that green arrow and I'm going to choose the module that we are learning in our group setting. In this case, it's Brachot. I'm now inside Brachot, and I have several choices. The first place I'm probably going to go is, well, we're going to encourage you to go, is the Learn section. This is where our hosts, Noah and Eliana, do a little skit, present a little background to the prayer or the blessings. We can skip that for now because I know you can't hear it. Here you have a choice now of going to Miss Emily singing 100 blessings or to sing along with Noah. I'm going to click on the blue sing button. And here's where Eliana and Noah teach the kids the traditional melody. And again, I'm aware that you cannot hear it, but as Noah teaches the song, it highlights the word. Okay, so that's the learn mode. I'm going through it very quickly. And I want to assure you that everything I'm covering here is either covered in the curriculum call, or we are going to be producing videos, very, very short instructional videos for you and your teachers to use to see how to play around with the software, how to use it. We'll also be going to be rolling out, publishing some short step-by-step PDFs that you can circulate to your staff or to your parents or to your kids. Speeding right along, let's go to the practice island. Here, the children can hear the words read aloud. They can choose Israeli accent, American accent, or themselves. To hear themselves, they're going to click and hold this record button, and then they can listen back to themselves reading. I want to let you know now about a feature that's coming in the next phase, which will be rolled out in June. And we have Jeremy Poisson on the call. Jeremy is the digital developer, the creator with Andrew Ash. The two of them have developed this digital companion. And Jeremy, if I'm wrong about this feature coming in June, let me know. You can type to me or just jump in. In June, the teachers will be able to actually hear the recording of the kids and will be able to give them feedback. So they can do that off time, you know, out of the class setting. So that's a new feature coming in June, which is the teacher assessment of the kids' recording. So we've covered 2 islands. We've been to Learn, which is with the videos and teaching the melody of the song. Practice was hearing the reading. Explore is where the kids can personalize the prayer with different emojis, drag them onto the prayer, and learn about different roots of words and so on. Then we have a something called Quizit, which checks the kids' knowledge. It's mostly recall and yeah, tests the information they've gathered acquired during the entire module in the class setting and in the digital. And finally, we have a melody game. And in this game, the kids learn the traditional melody through this interactive game where they connect musical syllables to form words. So you can't hear it again, but they would join the Baruch. Maybe you did hear that. Ata. And then when they're connected, it'll drop down, and in that way, it's a game, and it does score them. So that's the digital piece, usable in the Online Learning Center. That's how you access it. You can also access it up here at the top of the screen, My Account. If you are not in the OLC, you still want to use the digital piece, you can go to My Account up at the top of the page, then click on My Software on the left side near the bottom. And all the software that you have purchased will be available. So for example, Hebrew in Harmony is somewhere here. Oh boy, here it is down at the bottom, and I can click the play button and that will take me right into the software. So you do have 2 options for using it. We strongly recommend that you use it in the OLC because then you have all the other features of the OLC, including being able to post in the class, all sorts of other videos and that sort of thing. So I'm going to stop and just look at some questions. Does all of this work on mobile devices like iPhones? Yes, it works. Oh, thanks, Jeremy answered. Yes, it works on all devices. Does all of the, right, so we've got that answer. It has an iOS iPhone app. Yes, so that's correct. I should have mentioned that once you have an account at berrimanhouse.com and you're in the online learning center, you can access this on iPads for sure in a regular browser. You can also download an app, and it will immediately recognize you when you log in, and so you'll be able to do all your work on the iPad, and it'll upload your work to the central place where the teachers can assess it. So there are multiple ways you can use it and on multiple devices. Heidi's asking, if putting emojis on, are you suggesting that each child has their own tablet? So that's a really good question. Yes, not necessarily their own tablet, but their own account. Because, so in other words, what you would do is you would, Heidi, you and everybody, you would buy a license for each child. And that is really the best way to use it, because that way it can track the child's progress and the child can personalize the material, the prayer page, to his or her own liking.
Can I jump in here, Terry, real quick?
Yeah.
Thanks. Just to clarify, a lot of the digital piece is meant to be used at home to supplement the lessons that are going on in the classroom. You can definitely use the digital piece at school, but we know that, you know, most schools don't have an iPad for every child. So this is meant to supplement as something fun to enhance the learning that they can do when they're at home and have access to a computer.
Right. So that's true. What we find is that people report to us that the digital piece expands the learning time into the home and just, you know, gives more practice time. It's also a good way to involve families. We are also seeing, I will say, that some schools are in fact using it in the school building if you have good Wi-Fi, right? And it's because you want to be able to download the music at least once and access this and download it at least the first time. And so if you have some laptops or devices in school, they certainly can use it there, especially for sort of a child who finishes early or just wants to work alone or in a small group or for Chevruta study. So Phyllis is asking, does every child have their own login? Yes. Yes. Now, on an iPad, up to 6 users, Jeremy, confirm that, would you? Up to 6 users can use the same iPad at once or in the same account. But we suggest that every child, if you're buying a license for every child, they will each have their own login. And again, if you're not in the OLC and this all feels like, whoa, a lot for you to absorb, we can help you get set up in the OLC. And then the software is just self-explanatory and self-executing. So as you consider any further questions, I'm going to jump to my question screen. And here you have one. Oh, I do want to show you the Hebrew in Harmony page. So forgive me, I'm jumping out again and going back here. This is the Hebrew in Harmony page. You go to berrimanhouse.com/HIH. or Hebrew in Harmony, whatever you choose, it'll redirect you here. And here's really, this is where you find everything you need to know about the program. You can even, you know, you can see recordings of these webinars. We have samples of the videos. We have, for example, if you go to sample videos on the right in this yellow bar, you can see samples of Noah and Eliana. And you can also see down at the bottom a class in action. I'm showing you all the different modalities that Eliana was earlier describing. A little piece of information I want to give you here. I'm going to click on the teacher training link on the right. Coming in, this is where we are now, right? May the 11th. Coming in July, we are very excited. We're going to be announcing soon a collaboration with an organization that does online teacher training, and over the summer we're going to have a course available to your teachers, to you or your teachers, to all educators, with how very nitty-gritty, tachlistic, how to use the program. And it will be a 6-part course. Each part or each piece will be about 45 minutes, and teachers can do it at in their own time, at their own pace. They can come back to it, and we'll be letting you know that information in the next week or two, and it will begin on July 5th. In other words, it will become open on July 5th, but again, you and your teachers can do it any time over the summer. And now back to our questions. So that's the Hebrew in Harmony page. Here's how you can contact Eliana and how you can contact me. And we do invite you to join the Hebrew in Harmony Facebook group. You go to Facebook and you just go into this Facebook search bar, just type in Hebrew in Harmony, it'll come up. And it's really a fantastic way for you all to collaborate and talk about what's working and what your questions are, and for us to respond to you. So going back to some questions. Julie asked, I'm interested in introducing the program in 4th through 6th grades for the fall. What are the potential pitfalls in this plan? That's a broad question. My inclination is actually to start small and to try just a few modules. And, you know, well, there are 8 available now, so pick a few of those. You may want to order just a few of the journals. As I said, you can order those individually. Here are some of the others. This is what the Brachot journal looks like. This is my Nishtana. And you can order just the journals you need, and then you may want to order the complete digital access for each child. Again, the pricing is all on the Hebrew in Harmony, that green and yellow page that I showed you. So what are the pitfalls? The pitfalls are perhaps being too ambitious and you know, planning to use it with too many children the first time you adopt it. You may want to start a little bit smaller. Other pitfalls may be, you know, you need help getting set up in the OLC.
I'll also address this quickly. I think a potential pitfall, it can be kind of overwhelming if you have teachers, like we said, who don't have musical ability or aren't used to teaching experiential curriculum like this. So what it really takes is showing teachers the material in advance, showing them how everything is scripted, and having them read the introduction to the curriculum. It's very detailed, and it makes space, because I thought it was very important to make sure teachers understood that this topic is tough. We're talking about prayer, we're talking about God. It's hard and it's personal, and we want to make sure that teachers are able to really foster their own spiritual lives as they teach things like this, and also know that they don't have to have all the answers. They don't have to know 100% how they view God and the world, and they don't have to know 100% everything about the prayer. We help guide them through it and want to make sure that teachers are confident to be able to teach the material no matter where they are in their journeys.
Thank you. Question, how can Hebrew in Harmony work in a 25-minute a week Skype program? 25-minute a week Skype program. Oh, I think it can work fantastically well, and I'm excited you asked that question. The curriculum core addresses the area of, you know, anywhere, anytime learning, and we know that children are learning in all sorts of locations and at all different times of the day, not always together in a classroom environment at all. So what I would do in a Skype situation is I would make sure that the child has a copy of the journal, and as will the tutor or the teacher, and can work, you know, so they can work on it independently that way and together. And also, of course, then you can share the screen, and the tutor can work with the child on the digital piece, or the child can do the digital piece alone, and then can just maybe play through a few highlights with the tutor. And then ideally, you'll use part of the time of those 25 minutes for in-depth discussion in which the tutor will be probing for meaning, for understanding, could maybe even implement a few of the mindfulness practices over Skype. That could be really cool. There's some terrific breathing techniques and meditation and visual imagery that is suggested, and I think it could just work great. I'd like to see the Shema lesson. Okay, you know what, Heidi, I'm going to save that to the end, and I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click, you know, wait. Oh, I just had a thought. You can, and here's how you can do it. If you go to the Hebrew in Harmony page, which is open to everyone, berrimanhouse.com/HIH, look down here. You can, if you click on the center, you can see the word student journal, and you can see there the PDF of the Shema journal, which is it's the entire journal for you to look at, It's loading ridiculously slowly, so I'm going to give it another 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, and oh, there it is. Okay, so you can see the whole Shema journal. And you can also click here on the bottom right in that white box. You can try Shema Digital through end of May 31st. And exactly what I showed you for Brachot, you can do for Shema. Okay. Phyllis is asking, if I got the whole curriculum through Golem Express purchasing, did I also receive a license for full digital access, or do I need to do that separately? You did not get a license for full digital access. You got all the print materials, and frankly, there's just not a way for us to give you a full through the Golem Express plan for us to assign digital licenses, which is why we are giving you the Shema module free for you to try out and show your teachers and share with your students, see what they think about it. What is the cost of the program, Susan? For all the costs, you can go to that Hebrew and Harmony page, the green and yellow one, and it's under an FAQ. I can just tell you very quickly that if you buy a journal alone, it's $2.95. If you add on the digital piece for the journal, it comes to $5.95 total. So that's $5.95 for the blended piece. If you want the entire full access to the digital, all the digital companions, that is $9.95 per child for a 12-month license for the year. And as we add more digital pieces next year, the price will go up. For now, it's $9.95. For now, this year, the curriculum core is an introductory price is $19.95, $19.95. And again, that will go up each year as we add new material to it. What kind of pilot programs have you done, and what are some of the results? Okay, let me try to answer that quickly. It's a good question. This series has been in the making for coming up on 5 years. So it's been through numerous iterations and pilots, and has changed course quite a few times. And so, for example, we've been into wow, Jeremy, you can help me with this one because we did it together. We have been into at least half a dozen schools where we tried out different pieces with the kids. We brought in a videographer to film it and to analyze it back at the office. We involved numerous educators in the creation of the series, and you can see that here on this page, which is the acknowledgement page where we credit the editorial committee. We have about 15 or 20 educators and rabbis and music experts who we involved. Does that answer your question, Abra? What were some of the results? The results were, in the beginning, the results were mixed, and that's why we kept adapting and changing. For example, we found it wasn't interactive enough, so we introduced some new components, some new elements in the digital. We found that there wasn't enough Hebrew practice, so we introduced a lot more Hebrew pages into the journals and into the online pieces. Abra's also asking, I'm not entirely clear whether this curriculum teaches traditional melodies in addition to catchy songs, and what traditional melodies, if they are taught. So that's a really, really good question. It's one we get quite often. I think it's an area of concern. And so we, as Eliana said, for each module, we have at least 3 and sometimes as many as 5 different musical versions. And it's not always it's not always the exact words of the prayer. So for example, when we're teaching the Baruch Hu, we've got a couple of people who use different instruments to teach the Baruch Hu, but we've also got Noah Aronson teaching his song called Am I Awake? Am I awake? You know it. And so he's introduced different words, which adds a sort of new depth to the Baruch Hu. So the traditional melodies are the ones that are most commonly used, and those are the ones that Noah teaches, you know, Shema Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, and so on. And we also, by the way, also coming will be a feature where you or your cantor or your song leader will be able to upload your own melodies into the OLC as you choose. Oh gosh, there's a comment from somebody, a comment from somebody who just left the webinar. We said I have to go teach and we have to end. And she said, Eliana's brother teaches for me. I am so lucky.
Oh, hi, Betty.
It's Betty, yeah. So have
That's
I
great.
covered everything? That seems to have covered all the questions and all the comments. Eliana, before we sign off, is there anything you'd like to add?
I think I just want to say how exciting it's been to be a part of a project like this. I've taught tefillot and music for a number of years, and to be able to give teachers everywhere the tools to be able to implement something that's exciting, that uses multiple modalities, will really, the most important thing for me, help students make meaning out of these ancient words and apply them to their lives to help them live better lives is very exciting. So just wanted to thank all of you for participating and hopefully growing and learning in this. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And to everybody, thanks for giving us your time. And please be in touch with us if you have any questions. And we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. All the very best.